Welcome to the Academic Writing Amplified podcast. On this podcast, we believe that the culture of academia needs to change radically. Women and non-binary people are revolutionizing academia within institutions that were not built for us. If you're ready to reject the culture of overwork, kick guilt and overwhelm to the curb, and amplify your voice to make a real impact on your field without breaking down or burning out, you're in the right place. With our team of experienced writing coaches as co-hosts, we'll share insights and talk to inspiring guests to bring you the practical strategies, systems, and mindset shifts you need to find time to write, publish work you love, and design your career on your terms. And it all starts with writing. Let's go. Hello, it's Kathy, and we have a new episode for you today. We have our amazing coach, Gina, talking to you about creating your future. But before we get started, I just wanted to remind you that we are in the period of enrolling people in our Elevate program. Elevate is our mid-career, post-tenure, even through late career program that centers one-on-one coaching and really kind of next level career and personal development. Last week, we did a live info session. So if you want to hear all about the Elevate program, we will put a link in the show notes where you can go and listen to or watch the replay of the live info session. After that, if you think that Elevate might be a program that you want to participate in, we would love to get an application from you. Applications are open from now until December, but there's some juicy bonuses for signing up early. The program actually starts with our late January retreat. It's a virtual retreat. And then the program runs until the end of July 2023. So yes, we are enrolling now for a program that starts January 2023, late January, and finishes in July 2023. We want you to have all the information you need if you're thinking about applying. So go ahead and follow the link in the show notes, listen to the replay of the information session, and apply. We would love to get your application. Applying does not mean that you must join. It just puts you in our awareness, and we will be responding to your application within 48 hours or so of getting it. And then if you need to make some time to talk to me or someone on our team about enrolling, then after applying, you will have the opportunity to do that. We can't wait for you to be part of our next Elevate cohort. Enjoy this episode with Gina.
Welcome to Academic Writing Amplified. I'm Gina Robinson, one of your new podcast hosts. And to introduce myself, I'm going to share a little bit of my professional journey with you. And along the way, we're going to talk a little bit about the concept of designing your future. Way back when I was in grad school, my dream of becoming a professor was like getting tenure, maybe writing a book or two, lead some study abroad, maybe retire after becoming full. From my perspective, it was pretty simple. A single path upwards where tenure and sabbaticals led to my happily ever after. So, of course, I went for it. I got a PhD in Spanish and Portuguese. I got a tenure track job at a liberal arts college. And like the enthusiast I am, I applied to every internal grant and opportunity I could find as soon as I started. And not long after that, I got a visit from a senior faculty member who wanted to know why I was putting in so much energy in my first year. She didn't come to remind me to create balance in my life or focus on just a couple of things and do them well. She came to tell me that people were talking and that I was being really ambitious for junior faculty. She was helping me by telling me that I was already too much. I hardly had even started, and I was already getting in trouble for doing what I thought they wanted me to do. The hardest moment of that first year really should have been a highlight. I had proposed a course to teach for the new honors program at the college, and my course was chosen. I was really happy about that until our department meeting when my chair made the announcement. The room was silent. Not only did none of my colleagues congratulate me, they didn't even look at me. Somehow, I decided to keep going. I taught, I published, I chaired committees, and I got tenure. And I really wanted to celebrate this. So I invited my fellow newly minted associate professors to mark the achievement. On a Friday night, we met at the university bar. We got a booth way in the back to hide from students and complained about our horrible jobs over mozzarella sticks. To an outsider, it would seem that we were all on the verge of quitting, not celebrating one of academia's hugest milestones. I mean, we did complain a lot generally, and when we weren't complaining, we were comparing ourselves to one another. We fake complained about how much grading or reading or writing we had to do. We compared how long we stayed up at night prepping for the next day's class, or how many committee meetings we had to attend, or how demanding our students were. We were not thinking about the future at work. We could hardly stand the present. Sometimes I think of it as falling out of love with my job. It took me a couple of years to come to terms with it, but I left my tenured position in 2018, and I did a lot of exploring. I want to make this very clear. I did not know what was next for me. And I rarely go to the grocery store without a list. So this was a very new and pretty uncomfortable experience for me. But I knew that at the very least, I would get to choose this time. And once I made that first big decision, it got easier to put myself and my needs at the center of the decision-making process. Up to that point, my experience of academia had been about living up to the expectations of someone else, my professor or my advisor when I was a student, and then my chair or my dean or my provost when I was a professor. So now this was the first time I got to set my own expectations for myself. What was I really capable of doing? I applied to a few jobs I didn't think I was qualified for, and I got them, and I did them. I'm actually doing one of them right now. And in 2 different positions that I had, I wrote my own job description, and I got to focus on what I enjoyed and what I was good at. I really have to say that as a college student or as a grad student or even as an assistant professor, I never would have imagined doing the amazing work I'm doing right now. Because back then, none of it existed. I had to create it. Now, I don't want to make this story about leaving academia. If that's what ends up working for you, great. And if that's something you're considering, I'm always happy to do some coaching around that. But this lesson is bigger than that. It's about knowing that you'll do amazing things, even if you don't know exactly what those things are right now. You'll likely end up taking a position or running a program or a center that doesn't even exist yet. And this is part of what designing your future is all about. Knowing you'll have a vague idea at best of what it looks like, but believing in it and going after it anyways. So listeners, I want to invite you to ask yourselves, could I be more intentionally designing my future and my career? Wherever you are in your career, but especially if you're in a moment of transition, you can pause and reflect on this question. It might result in a huge change like it did for me, or you may end up recognizing that you're on exactly the right path for yourself already. But either way, you'll be able to move forward with more conviction. And the most important thing is to put yourself at the center of that reflection process, not your colleagues or your extended family or people involved in your research or your students. Your future has to be about what you want. This all sounds easier said than done, so I'll give you a little bit of a framework to use to start designing your career. This is really a way of deciding how you want your work days to feel. We spend so much of our day at work all year long for decades. And when I think about it that way, I really want to spend my time feeling good. I mean, we can pick some more specific adjectives than that. Maybe you want your days to feel challenging or exciting or easeful or calm. Those feelings are going to form the foundation of your design. Essentially, when you're feeling those things, you're on the right track. The next step is to start daydreaming, imagining the impossible. Envision things that are not necessarily realistic at the moment. Maybe you're not qualified or you're not ready yet. Maybe the position that you want doesn't exist at your institution. Maybe the project you want to work on costs more money than you have. You're going to take all of those dreams, you're going to make a list of them, and then I want you to post it somewhere you can see it. And it's just going to exist there in the background, reminding you of what you really want. The design part is where the action happens. That's where your dreams are going to grow legs. Talk to people about some of these ambitions that you have. Share your dreams with anyone who will listen compassionately. Try to connect with people who are doing that work. Maybe ask them for advice. You can learn a lot and you will also gain a supporter. And the more that you put those dreams out into the world, the more opportunities that will come your way. And then the last step is actually the easiest one. You simply have to be open to those opportunities as they arise. Now, this doesn't mean you're giving up control or you're letting the universe take over. You're actually implanting these ideas in others' minds, and your mind is working in the background to resolve the obstacles in your way. And you're also choosing actions that will lead you in the right direction. Now, there are a few things that could get in your way, and I'm going to talk about those in just a second. It's going to take a little bit of work to let go of these things. First, you want to try to let go of survival mode. When you're designing your future, you're not reacting to others' needs. You're stepping away from the frenetic activity of survival mode, taking a pause, and making decisions and plans based on your vision of your future. That might involve saying no to a few things and creating that time for yourself. Next, try to let go of the fear of uncertainty. You could think of it as the water you'll be swimming in as you work towards your big goals. This work will involve more time outside of your comfort zone than in it. And the more comfortable you can get without a mental, emotional, or professional safety net, the more energy you're going to have to reach those big goals. Finally, try to let go of the belief that you can do it alone and the need to compare yourself to others. Instead, find the support you need, a community of people who want good things to happen to you, and then make use of it. I'm going to say it a million times. Success does not just depend on you. It depends on you and the team that is supporting you. So ask for help, ask for support, ask for ideas, space, and time. And I know asking for help isn't easy for anyone, but it's worth the effort. And it's important for a couple of different reasons. First of all, giving and receiving help in a professional context can help you build a real, authentic community of peers. And also, articulating your dreams to others makes them more real to you. And if you can engage with your fellow scholars without comparing yourself to them, you'll also see that everyone else is on their own timeline, so there's no reason to rush. I'm sure you noticed that all these suggestions were about letting go. Think of it as traveling light. You don't need survival mode, fear, and comparison weighing you down as you move towards your future, especially because some of this work is going to take a lot of energy. It'll bring up painful emotions for you, and it could provoke annoyance or even hostility in others who are not used to this kind of change and growth. So this is also where self-trust comes into play. You have to believe that you are the agent of your future, even when you can't envision it clearly, or you can only see all of the obstacles in the way. So to return to my story, I want to note that my big dream, becoming a writing coach for academics, wasn't entirely clear to me until it was happening. I spent a year working part-time with Kathy and imagining how it would feel to just do this, but assuming that it was probably impossible. Well, spoiler alert, it was possible, and I had to put it out into the world to make it happen. And things felt very uncertain. I was not stepping into ready-made positions with clear lists of responsibilities. So there were a lot of times when I had no idea what I was supposed to do. And I just had to be okay with that. There's an old song I think about a lot called Hold On Loosely. And while the song kind of gets on my nerves, the message is a really great one. So the chorus tells us to hold on loosely, but don't let go. And that's just so useful in this case. Envision some of those impossible dreams and hold on to them, but not too tightly. They may need to shapeshift, grow, shrink, change color. That's how they turn into genuine opportunities that are just right for you. I hope that sharing my story has inspired you or given you a different perspective on your career. We all deserve to be doing work that is meaningful and manageable so we can balance it with all of the other things we were put on this earth to do. And if any of this story resonated with you, the feeling you could be doing more of the work you love, that you're doing too much for other people and not enough for yourself, or that you're missing out on a community of peers who support and encourage you, you might want to consider working with a coach. This is exactly the kind of work we do in Elevate, our 6-month high-end coaching program for tenured women and non-binary academics. We provide the space and coaching to ask yourself the big questions and go after your big career dreams. If you're interested or want to know if it's right for you, register to get immediate access to our on-demand Elevate info session. If you've already watched the info session or you want to trust your gut, go ahead and submit your Elevate application now. The links to register and apply are in the show notes and, as always, at kathymazek.com/elevate. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen today. I'm your host, Gina, and I wish you the best in work and in life.
Thank you so much for spending your valuable time supporting yourself and your writing by listening to this episode. If you like what you heard today, the best way to say thank you is to hop on over to Apple iTunes and write an honest review. The more reviews, the more amazing academic women and non-binary people will find this podcast. So go write one now.